And now it's time for the Business Owners Spotlight Series. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? It's me, Kenya. Welcome to 40 Entrepreneur Drive. In this video, I am bringing to you another boss moment. B.O.S.S is Business Owners Spotlight Series. And in today's series, we are going to be talking to not only a multiple income stream entrepreneur, but a fellow content creator. Now, this person works out of North Carolina. You can find him on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as far as I can see, he has had a social media presence at least since 2018. Also is the author of two books, is an educator, an author, and a multi-income stream business person. Let me bring him to the forefront now. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I am most excellent. Thank you for honoring me with your presence. Hi, and thank you for tuning in to this boss video. This interview was actually conducted in May of 2020. At this time, I was not yet confident of going live with my boss guests. As such, this interview was pre-recorded with the intent to last about 45 to 60 minutes. It ended up lasting nearly 3 hours. So, for brevity of time, I have edited this interview and I've divided it into 3 parts. You are now watching video number 1 of the 3 parts. Make sure you tune into the other videos for the full story. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, as you can see from the other side of the screen here, I have Mr. JT Hustlez, who is a fellow content creator here on the YouTube platform. And he also has various businesses, of which we will touch either on some or all of them. And I just want to thank you very much for your time. You are a very busy man, a success story, and one of my personal digital mentors. So I really do appreciate you taking out the time to talk to me, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so for those of you who may not know who this man is, you need to catch up. Catch up, for real. Okay, let me give you the breakdown in case you do not know. I'm speaking with JT Hustlez, who works out of North Carolina. He has quite a few things going on as far as business ventures. So he is a business owner dealing with independent courier services. He works with houses. He is a published author. He is a content creator, obviously. He's here on YouTube. You can check his channel out at JT Hustlez. All this information will be in the description box, so make sure you check that out. He is an educator, or would you consider yourself a facilitator or educator? Because I do know that you work with courses to help other people learn some of the things you do. And also, he is a motivational speaker and a social media influencer. Now, you can share with us as much or as little as you want about your businesses. I do have a spot here to talk about maybe the names of one of your businesses if you want to put that out there. If not, we'll just talk about it in general. And of course, you can be found on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and all of that will be in the description below as well. So other than that introduction, is there anything that you would like to say to introduce yourself, sir?
Oh, yeah. I just want to let everybody know, like she said, I'm JT Hustlez, been on the YouTube platform just over 2 years. My whole goal is just to teach people practical entrepreneurship. Just out the gate, I was doing the independent courier service. I started off YouTube, not even expecting to be a YouTuber. I just was making content because my last 9-to-5 job was working for Warren Buffett in corporate America. And I spent a lot of money trying to like figure out the business. I quit my job with $15,000, lost it all, and then had to climb back and figure it out myself. So when I started making YouTube videos, to be honest with you, it was strictly for, I don't want nobody to go through what I went through. So I'm gonna make some courier videos. And also the way I was raised, my mom and dad wasn't together, and I wasn't really close to my dad's side of the family. And as a kid growing up, I didn't really know why. Later I grew up and realized that my mom was sheltering the boys from that lifestyle. So my dad's side of the family was like illegal hustlers, like street dudes, making money, doing all this, had plenty of money, but was on the other side of the track. My mom kept us in church, all the time. Like, so that's how she wanted us to come up. So I always knew my cousins, I always knew my uncles, I loved them, but I didn't even know that part about them until I was 22 years old. And then of course I was like, you know what, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I said, you know what, other than the independent courier content, I'm gonna start making videos to show them how I'm getting money and send it to them. So man, crazy part of YouTube is like, I didn't know nothing about YouTube. I'm like, I'm gonna do some courier videos. Anybody that stumble across being an independent courier, I'm gonna answer some basic questions, and I'm gonna make these videos just to send them to my cousins. I wasn't expecting nobody other than independent courier people to watch the video and then just go do it, or nobody to watch the other videos. I just grabbed the link, send it to my cousins. So I would get comments and I'd be like, man, why are you watching my videos? Like, yo, this ain't even for you. And then, I really figured out that there was an audience for it. People was like, yo, what is this business? How do I do it? XYZ. So I've been running with it since then. And but that's how I originally started as a YouTuber. And yo, the rest is history. We on the road to 100K, just over 60K. Personally, other than the independent courier business, I started reselling online with eBay, and Macari is another reselling platform. A private label business that I had running, but I since discontinued, was called BeInTheBest.com. So the website is no longer available, but if you follow me on Instagram, one of the Instagram profiles that I follow is still called Being the Best, just so if people want to go see that, because you know what I mean, anybody on the internet can tell you I had this business, I worked with these people, I did all of this crazy stuff, but it's so many people that lie to you on the internet. So I was like, you know what, I don't even really use the Instagram no more, but I'm gonna leave it up there just so people can really see, hey, dude really do it. So I don't know if you guys can see behind me, but
the proof is in the pudding.
Get and play. I got an autographed Salt and Pepper right there. And in the far corner, you guys can't see it because it's too far away, is an autographed Big Daddy Kane. There's a tour that was going on every year called the I Love the 90s tour. And I was the merchandiser for the tour, meaning that when they go and perform, they're going to sign autographs, they're going to sell shirts. I'm going to provide them with the shirts at wholesale price. They're going to flip them at the event. I wasn't making big money though. Like, I ain't gonna lie, that was my first private label business. Kid and Play gave me my first break, and yo, real good dudes. I was probably only making like $1,200 a week. That's profit after I spend whatever I was making. So it wasn't like I was Nike or Supreme or making $1 million. I was clearing like about $1,200 a week profit after everything. We was doing something called drop shipping. AliExpress, if you heard of that, and that's how we was doing it. I was mopping up myself, and we was just rolling. Yo, other than that, I decided to YouTube slowly started getting more and more traction, so I just kept making content. Wrote a couple of books. First book that I wrote, let me see, it might be downstairs, but I wrote an independent courier book just to consolidate all of the information, because to date I have over 100 videos on my channel teaching about the independent courier business. So a lot of people want to know about the business, and I would tell them at first, hey, you don't got to give me nothing. I'm gonna teach you for free. Just watch the videos. People was like, man, hey, I ain't got time to watch 100 videos. So what a lot of creators may know about is a website called Patreon.com. Patreon.com is like a subscription-based website. So, and I know I'm doing a lot of rambling, but I just want you guys, not necessarily the thing I'm trying to brag, but I just want you to know, like, why I consider myself the king of practical entrepreneurship, just so you can see the gradual progression to get me to this level and how I'm moving. So, I went and made an account at Patreon.com. Whatever business you got, if you think that you want to do a subscription-based service for whatever, I like Patreon. So I opened up Patreon, and it's been years now. I still got the Patreon going on, but I think I might have said, if you want me to help you one-on-one with your independent courier business, it was like $50 a month. 300 people signed up like in the first month, and it was impossible for me to help them. So what I did was I temporarily closed down the Patreon. I just grinded it out, helped as many people as I could. They got up and running, and then Patreon is month to month, but you could quit every time. So once they was up and running, just like expected, they ended their patronage. So I was getting $50 a month for 100 months, right? So usually 1 or 2 months, but it was a gang of people, like 300 people jumped in, and I took my time. A lot of people, it was pretty easy. It was a lot of basic stuff that I had already told them in the video. But what I realized is that, man, people will always pay you for convenience. And believe it or not, to all of those would-be entrepreneurs out there, the average person lacks confidence in themselves. I don't know if it's from their upbringing or anything like that. So my motto on my brand is shut up and hustle. I got merchandise that says it, even down to I got my own custom mask and stuff. So like shut up and hustle. And it's not to offend anybody, but the whole idea originally was I'm from the South, like she said, I'm from North Carolina. And man, people is hard on especially African American men. You got to play sports, you can't be no punk, you can't cry, all of that stuff that you hear about. So the whole idea of shut up and hustle is not necessarily an external thing. It was pretty much a mentality of when you're afraid to do something, when you doubt in yourself, just shut up and hustle and see it. And I'm the kind of person that I'm 29 years old right now. I quit my job at 24. I'm giving myself to the age of 50 to accomplish all of my goals in life, and then I'm gonna retire. And I don't know what I'm gonna do. Aggravate my daughter until she gets out of it. I was like, my goal in life when I'm an old man, I said I would much rather try different things and fail at it than live, to be that old, Lord willing, and then look back at my life as a 90-year-old man and say, what if I would have quit my job and did this? What if I would have wrote that book where anybody did it? What if I would have made my own app? Would anybody would have downloaded? How would my life would have been different if
what that reminds me of? That reminds me of your intro.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Where did that come from? And did it inspire you or did you inspire it? I'm talking about his YouTube intro. There is a speech, a portion of a speech that is basically touching on what he's talking about right now, being afraid to try anything and just going with the status quo. Could you go into that a little bit more and then pick it up where you were?
Oh yeah, man. The intro she was talking about on my most recent videos was actually my old intro now, but I'll be incorporating it back and forth. It's a Les Brown speech. And it's called it's just talking about being an uncommon man. All right. And it's basically, I don't remember it verbatim at the moment, but it's just basically speaking towards having the boldness to want to try and fail. And I don't want to be a kept citizen where the state looks after me and etc. And I was raised with that mentality, but I'm gonna tell you something just about my experience. I'm not talking about everybody in the South, but in my experience, what I learned as I grew and matured was that there's a lot of good principles that I was taught or that was instilled in me growing up, but the men and women around me weren't able to articulate it. So that speech basically articulated how I was raised. So nobody really sat me down and was able to articulate it that way. So when I found, it's not Les Brown's speech, but he's just like, Les Brown got one of them voices that he can say the 80s and it'll sound prophetic. So that's what I use. But yeah, so I was living that lifestyle, and then he actually put it all together in a way that was well articulated and it made a lot of sense. Basically, shut up and hustle, the mentality that we was talking about was that instead of being afraid of if I quit my job, how I'm gonna feed myself, how I'm gonna have insurance and benefits and all of that other stuff, I was like, well, you know what? Let's just try it. Just shut up and hustle. And it was something that my uncles instilled in me. And then so many people was hitting me up talking about their fears. So I started saying it to them. Of course, some people are offended. Don't tell me to shut up, blah, 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 blah. But hey, that's how we was raised. And if they don't like it, of course, YouTube is free. They can unsubscribe. They can not watch me or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that if you can get over that and you can internalize like shut up and hustle to your inner voice, then nobody can tell you anything. Like people in the early days would say, JT, you doing way too much. You need to do just the independent courier stuff. However, since I already told myself, like, I'm not even going to let myself talk myself out of trying this or trying that. So a stranger off the internet, my friends, my family members, nobody can talk me out of it. And if you study the most successful people in the world, Berkshire Hathaway was the name of the last company that I worked for. Warren Buffett and his buddy own it, but most people just know Warren Buffett. If you go to BerkshireHathaway.com, you'll see all of the companies that they own. They brought me in as an assistant manager, and then they made me an operations manager. What they used to do, not a knock to them, learned a lot. That really that hit home with making me want to be an entrepreneur. Matter of fact, let me backtrack and put it together, because I want you guys to really understand my mentality. I can give you tactics and tricks and do this to make $1 or whatever all day. But what I realize is that, man, if I could get you to start thinking differently, it's way easier. If I tell you do 1 + 1 and you'll get 2, okay, you'll do that. But what happens when 1 is not easy to get? If you got a weak mentality, you're going to quit there. So if it seemed like, yo, hey, I'm talking about a lot, hey, y'all can put it in the comment section, reach out or whatever. Hey, I'm going to talk for forever because I'm a talker. If she allowed me to come back on the show, we can address it then. But all in all, going back. So my uncle, by the time I was 22, he was out the game. He was a legitimate entrepreneur. He went to trade school at like 40 or 50 years old. Now, people are laughing at him because you like, man, you a 40-something-year-old man. Yeah, and you going to school with 17, 18, 19-year-olds. He went to school for 2 years for heating and air conditioning. They call it an HVAC tech. First year out of school, he made $200,000. Well, he was working for a company during those 2 years. And then after the 2 years, he did whatever. You got to take a state test and all of that. And I think the requirement at that time was you had to have 2 years of experience. So he was working for a company, going through tech school. Once he finished tech school, he met the time requirement. He took the test, got his own license. First year working for himself, made $200,000. And now he builds $500,000 and $1 million houses in a place called Charleston, South Carolina. If anybody ever heard of South Carolina, they know usually Charleston and Myrtle Beach. So Charleston, South Carolina. So anyway, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. When I got out the Marine Corps, I went down to Charleston to go to college. So I'm around my uncle all the time. So he's giving me the former gangster attitude mixed with the shut up and hustle. That's who really instilled it in me and hit it home. And prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I said, I think I want to be either a politician or a lawyer. He was like, how much money they make? I was like, man, I've been talking to people that's in it. They said my first year after law school, I can be a public defender. I'll make $60,000 a year. And within 2 years or so, I'll be making $100,000 a year just as a public defender. He was like, man, nephew, that ain't no money. I make $60,000 a month. So he started showing me what he was doing. And he was telling me, hey, you can do this. A plumber make more money than a lawyer. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you what a plumber does. And he was trying to get me to get one of my license and become a skilled tech. But honestly, it is a lot of money in there. So the takeaway at this point in the conversation is I want you guys to know, if you were raised how I was raised, your parents, I was raised by a single mother. She was saying that in order to be successful, go to college, but she meant a 4-year degree, or go to the military, or go get a job at a company that you could work your way up and end up in corporate America or whatever. Very few people I know actually teach their kids, go to tech school, go to school for 2 years, start making 6 figures after that. And I know college not for everybody. Another business that I own is called Hustle Academy. It's a digital online school. I have courses there. The purpose of these courses is to teach people. I call it the fourth option. So if you was raised how I raised, and your mom and dad, grandma, whoever, they say, okay, in order to be successful, you need to go to college, go to the military, or get a job. I'm telling you, or become an entrepreneur. And what qualifies me to say that is I tell people I went through every stage that your parents, grandparents, whoever raised you and had your best interest in mind told you to go to. So I graduated high school at 17, went to the Marine Corps for 4 years. I was an accountant. I hate numbers, but I was good at numbers. I love numbers now as an entrepreneur, but at that time, being
intimidating.
Yeah, knowing math, being a nerd, don't know girls want to, you know what I mean? At 30, it's totally different. But at 17 or whatever, it's not that cool. So I went to the Marine Corps, had behavioral issues. All right, so I wasn't even a model Marine. I got awards and stuff from the Marine Corps, but I have behavioral issues because, like I told you, I ain't really have a dad like that. And my dad's side of the family was gangsters. So I still had a little bit of that in me as a young guy anyway. So did 4 years in the Marine Corps. Then I went to grad school in Charleston, right? Where I told you I got really close with my uncle. I was telling him, man, I'm going to be a public defender. I'm going to make $60,000. In a couple of years, I'm going to be making six figures. I'll still be in my 20s. And then he was telling me about how that wasn't no money. Well, I still was saying, you know what? I still don't want to be an entrepreneur. I was fighting it. So I moved to Baltimore, Maryland. Well, it's called Essex, Maryland. And I was going to grad school in College Park, Maryland, the University of Maryland. My first major was financial management. I picked that because, one, I failed the LSAT. The LSAT is the entry exam to go into law school. And the only school that would accept me was in Arizona. So I could have still went to law school, but my score was low. The only school I wanted to go to was in Miami, but I only wanted to go to Miami because of the girls. And I'm keeping it real with y'all because I want y'all to know when I tell you I'm a practical entrepreneur, like I think how the fellas think, and I went through that. So I was like, I want to be a lawyer. All the law schools in America, where you want to go? I want to go to Miami. They got a good law program. I don't know. To this day, I don't know. I know they got girls. I know they got beaches. I want to go to Miami. So
he said practical.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Yeah. So that didn't work out. So I end up in Maryland with my other uncle. This uncle, so my uncle in South Carolina is a general contractor now. Got all his license, got a crew. He was still building any kind of houses, doing commercial real estate, residential real estate. He just recently now only does $500,000 and $1 million houses. Back then, this was like 2012 to 2014. He was doing whatever, and he was clearing, like he said, he was clearing at least $60,000 a month just doing that. I moved to Maryland.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around some of these numbers. So if I'm shaking, just disregard. Just
Yeah,
we're not taught that that's possible growing up, and so it's gonna be a minute for me to be able to really digest that.
The beauty of it though, that's why I want to be like a lot of content on my channel. I'm telling people about little money. Like, yo, this how you sell on eBay. You can make $700 a month on eBay, right? I know that, yo, you could do this right here. I made $10,000 a month doing this, $12,000 a month doing that. But if I tell you that, then I start to look like the guy in the commercial with the Lamborghini and the supermodel and whatever. And I don't move like that because, again, now it all ties back together. Like, if half your family is drug dealers, like, if you got money, you don't want to draw attention to yourself. I've never been in the streets, full disclosure. I ain't never been to prison. I ain't never been no street guy, never sold no drugs, none of that. But I'm saying my immediate family, my dad, my uncles, my first cousins, and me and my first cousins like brothers. So we was real tight. So like, yo, it was all like that. So coming from that, that's why I'm like, okay, I don't care if you think I need a haircut. I don't care if you think I don't got no money, I ain't wearing no designer stuff. Because the people that I know, they got real money. They don't move like that. So I'm going to move how we move. I ain't
my
trying
mama
to move.
told me.
Yeah. So, but going back to your point, I know here, an electrician might charge you $10,000 to wire a house. Like, I got a quote on my property, right? I say I bought a house, but honestly, I didn't buy a house. I got a 2-year-old daughter. I set up an LLC for her. I bought the house in her name. We're gonna roll it over into an irrevocable trust. That way, if she meet some pretty boy and he try to finesse her out of it, she not gonna have it because I'm really big on generational wealth. So my daughter owns a daycare center and she has a house. I don't have a house, but I bought the house for her. But going back to the point, so I just was getting estimates on the house that's my daughter's house and was just asking people only because I'm like, my uncle can do it. He ain't gonna charge me nothing. I just gotta be there and talk with him. But then when dealing with family, you gotta wait for them. Like they ain't in no rush.
Let's back up real quick because I know how old she is, but some people that don't follow you yet may not know. Just real quick, mention how old your sweet daughter is.
Yeah, she's 2 years old. Yeah, she's 2 years old.
We ain't talking about somebody grown. We talking about planting a seed to somebody who's still a seed and still growing and developing. I just want to throw that out there because I know that, but I don't know if anybody else knows that.
Yeah, my daughter makes $40,000 a year. She's the co-author of my book, right? So every book I wrote, she's either on the cover of it. If you go to Amazon.com and just search for JT Hustlez' book, yeah, she's on the cover of the book, or she's listed as the co-author of the book. I wrote one book because I touched on it, but I don't think I explained it. I wrote one book teaching you about the independent courier business.
The Drive to Freedom.
Yeah, The Drive to Freedom is that book. The second book is The Key to Winning is Given. That's tailored for felons that want to become legitimate entrepreneurs. Right? So because a lot of felons gravitate to me just naturally because how I move, but they was having trouble getting in the independent courier game. So I was like, yo, you can do this, you can do that. It's all legal, and you can make good money. So if this door closes, here are 3 other doors that can take you there. So but since we talking about my daughter, and we're gonna jump around, but yo, hey, any questions?
Yeah, because I have a list of questions, and you're like hitting all the points, almost right in a row. But you hitting the point, so you keep going.
Oh yeah. Stop me whenever you want to. But I was saying, so my 2-year-old daughter, right? I'm really big on just I want to start the generational wealth. It was a blessing for me to meet a guy. I was doing live events last year. We trained over 100 people in person, over 1,000 people if we include the online courses as well. We was teaching people appliance repair and cell phone repair. These are 6-figure businesses. Currently, as of this recording, there is no license needed to do appliance repair, and it's minimal marketing. Matter of fact, people don't market the way that we were teaching them. You sign up with home warranty companies, and some people, as part of your home warranty, it covers your appliances. You sign up underneath them, they just start feeding you work. Depending on where you're located, if you're in a major city, we got guys that came through the training. They're making $1,000 a week, $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, just fixing appliances. It was a weekend boot camp followed by like continual ed via the online courses, calling in and whatever. And it's a guy called Mike Sneed. He's been in the game about 20 years now. So Mike, a great guy. I learned a lot from Mike. We had a partnership where I met Mike because he's in North Carolina. Mike said he was teaching kids entrepreneurship. And I never knew anybody that was like really on some, I'm going to teach teenagers entrepreneurship. So I pulled up on him and pulled his card. Sure enough, he was not only teaching them, he was paying them to learn. He had a nationwide contract. I don't know if he want me to tell the company, but it's a nationwide company. And they were sending him appliances to repair. He would get the high school kids on the weekends there. He would show them how to repair it, allow them to repair it, and then pay them to learn how to repair it. Was giving them $10 an hour, but you got to think 15, 16, 17 years old, you got a skill that you could turn into a business later on in life, and you got $10 an hour to learn that skill. So Mike told me one of his dreams was to have his own school. So I helped him market what is now Appliance Boot Camp, on track to being the #1 appliance repair training in the nation. But Mike really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, just like my uncles did. So I got a lot of mentors, but I'm gonna just touch on the key one.
I was gonna ask about that. I was gonna ask who is the most inspiring person, but I think I want to say it's your uncle.
Yeah, it's my uncle in Maryland, because the reason why my uncle in Maryland is because my other mentors, they'll teach me about business, they'll encourage me. Not like how you think though. It's like tough love, like, hey, you know what I mean? Pull your skirt down, like that type of talk. But I got a female mentor. I got men mentors. I tell people I learn from a dog if it'll help me better myself and take care of my family. But my uncle in Maryland, he's the only one that's like really spiritual as well. So we'll talk business. but then he'll bring it back home and like, man, hey, this is what you do, but at the same time, don't work yourself to death. Hey, spend some time with your daughter. I'm a face.
Let's talk about that spirituality real quick. I do have that on my list of questions. I noticed on your Instagram, you have on there. On your Instagram, you have put God first 100 or something like that. You have a phrase. Why was it important for you to basically claim and put your faith out there on a public forum like that? Because I respect that and I appreciate that, but some people might feel like that's not wise to put religion out there with business. But I've heard you mention it before, and I see it on your Instagram page. And did that influence come from your uncle, or is that just also how you were raised?
Yeah.
I love that.
And my uncle also, he helped bring it full circle. And to be honest, like, man, I don't even care if people don't like me because I'm a Christian, Church of Christ Christian, born and raised. And I tell people, yo, I came in the game an entrepreneur. So before you knew who I was, saw my face, I was making money as an entrepreneur every single year. So I've been an entrepreneur since 2014. I didn't start making social media content till like 2017, 2018, something like that. So I was like, yo, I'm going to be who I am. If y'all don't like it, keep in mind, I never intended to have an audience. I love my audience now. I embrace my audience now. But I was like, yo, I know how to make money. I'll put you on if you want to get put on. But if you saying, hey, I want to get put on, but you also gotta, this how I want you to serve it to me, I'm not your guy. I'm gonna put it out there. If you accept it, you accept it. If you accept me, I would love for you to be a part of what I call the hustle fam. Hey, but if you like, nah, hey, I ain't with it, you don't gotta be with it. But the good thing is that there's a lot of people that follow me that they're not Christians. They're agnostic, they're Muslim, they're Jewish, they're Catholic, and I'm not the type of person that's like, even though I'm in the Bible Belt, I'm not you going to hell and you this, you that. You know what I mean? Hey, if you respect me, I respect you. Hey, respect. Yeah.
So it has not been a hindrance that you putting it out there because you could have just kept it in the background to yourself. It has not been a hindrance. It's them respecting you and you respecting them, and it's all business, right?
Yeah. And I really think that, I mean, if it did cost me some money, my faith, I feel like I'll get it back from God in another way. So if somebody's like, yo, we gonna cancel you because you publicly admit you love God, you're a Christian, Church of Christ, whatever, we ain't with it. Hey, all right, cool. I ain't too good to jump back in the van. I was jumping out of vans making $100,000 a year. So, yo, I own real estate. I got an app. I got books. I got uncles that got construction companies. I got a female mentor and entrepreneur who taught me about the daycare center business. And the way that I'm trying to move now, what I recently came to accept, and I don't know exactly who your audience is, but this is it can help anybody. But since most of my audience is African Americans, right? I tell people I make content for whoever, but naturally a lot of African Americans just gravitate to me. It's all love either way. So whether you African American or not, this can still help you. But what I notice about, let's not even say African American people, let's say low income people, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because you can financially not be low income, but mentally you still low income. I know people now. One of my best friends, he got $100,000 in a savings account. He's scared to invest in anything. A $3,000 investment came by. I was like, bro, you want to, hey, I'll split it with you. He sold me $100,000. The investment was $3,000. You could stand to make maybe like 5, 10. It just depends on how you work it. It is some risk involved, so it ain't no guarantee. He was like, man, what you think about this? I think it's a lick. Since they brought it to you, I'll split it with you. I'll give you 15. You put in 15. He was too scared to lose the money. So that's what I mean is that, man, you can have money. You make over $250,000 a year, live in Washington, D.C., $100,000 saved up, but you can still have that low income mentality. But the point that I'm making here is that low income people, regardless, male, woman, black, white, whatever you are, we're not taught this, and that's business systems. To be a successful entrepreneur, what separates JT Hustles in 2014 when I started my business and the JT Hustles that I'm now growing and trying to become is that I never knew that if you study highly successful people, they don't run their business. I'm going to explain it. Successful businesses have systems that run the business, and you have people that run the system. That way, if you ever heard somebody that says they created a job for themselves, or they got to do everything themselves in order to make money, or they got a technician or a cook if it's a restaurant, like they got one person that's holding it down, or them themselves are holding it down, even if they don't mind what they do. Because I know somebody right now making a killing in pest control in Memphis, but he admitted to me if he don't go out and do it, then it don't get done. And that is a poor business model. I myself had that business model, and it's because nobody taught me. So I'm really big now on, I want low income people to understand that highly successful people have businesses. Then you create a business system that runs your business. And now whether you do it, the technician or the cook that you have do it, or you hire somebody off the street and teach them your system, the quality of service, your product and services are still the same in the eyes of your consumer. And that's how you don't create a job for yourself.
I feel like your answers are way beyond what my questions would have been, because you're answering the questions, but what you don't know what you don't know. I have a question here that says, and you just taught me something new, business systems. I didn't know that terminology. I was going to ask you, are you a part of your everyday operations? Do you contract out work as needed? Would you consider hiring employees? And at any point, would you consider automating your processes? I didn't know that was something called business systems, but you basically just schooled me in what that was. And you're promoting that, right? You're saying at some point you do want to step back and let the business run itself. Is that what you're saying?
I tell people, but I don't want the gate. When I first started my independent courier service, I didn't want to admit it because I'm a man. I had pride. I was scared because I was like, man, I gotta work every day. I was coming from a job mentality where you work 5 days a week. That's how you make money. So me not knowing about business until I really humbled myself, because the mentors had always been around me. But at 24, I'm like, this old joker don't know what he's talking about. I got $15,000. I got the internet. They don't even use the internet as much as me. I'm good until I wasn't. But we was working 7 days a week, 14-hour days. Me and 2 other people. Killing myself, killing them. But I grew my business from $500 a week to $3,000 a week, all in maybe like 90 days. All right, so my business was growing fast, but man, I started having a whole lot of HR issues. Even to this day, I still need to get better at HR, only because I'm a firm believer that you pay people fairly and they'll perform highly for you, which is true. But you also got to hire the right people. And I'm the person that like, yo, I'll give anybody a shot, but I also fire people quick. And I don't believe in paying people minimum wage. Where I'm located, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour.
You're going off. You buffered. I'm gonna take a quick time out because you're buffering. I don't think it's on my side.
I don't know what happened here.
Okay. The last thing you said was minimum wage was 5 something an hour, and then you cut off.
So the minimum wage here is $7.25 an hour.
Okay.
What I paid the lowest paid person that works along with me, because I don't like to say anybody works for me. I try to instill the mentality of you work for yourself. All right, you don't come here just because you like me that much. Even if you like me that much, you a grown person. You got financial responsibilities. People that work with me got kids. They got bills. So I'm like, man, start thinking about you work for yourself. You work with me, but you work for you.
I like that.
Yeah, so I was like, I give them $20 an hour to work with me. But like you said, though, I'm really big on automation. I'm really big on business systems. The most active thing that I do is talk to myself, and that's how I joke about YouTube. Like, yo, YouTube, I have them pretty much automated, or I'm working on a way to automate them. When I was doing being the best, how my system worked was I screened different drop shippers who was drop shipping in that business. The prints were called sublimation.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of that.
How I made my own website. It's a YouTube channel called Wholesale Ted. They taught me a lot of game, right? Free game. So I learned how to make my own website. The system that I had in place, and this was before I even knew about business systems. I just thought I was getting over when that's how you efficiently run a business. And this the business I said was turning $1,200 a week profit. So you would place an order with me through my website. I had my payment plan or payment profile, whatever you want to call it, linked to PayPal. I'll get a PayPal notification. I then would forward your order information to somebody in China, my manufacturer, my distributor, and what they would do is blind drop ship it to you. So, like, let's say for an example, this shirt behind me, I think I would sell it for around $35. Retail price. Of course, wholesale price is way less. But what I would do is I would send them some at wholesale price, and they would go from so their DJ is in North Carolina, but sometimes they'll say we're gonna go from Atlanta to Alaska to Maryland. So they would try to have at least some shirts at every stop. So if I gave them 50 shirts, they wouldn't pull out all 50 shirts. They'll pull out a little here, a little there, and I'm just making up numbers so you guys can get it, because they wanted every stop they hit. They wanted to have some shirts for the people that was there. So if they ran short, they'll say, "Hey, you can order them online here." So they would send me the orders that way. And when I say blind drop ship, that means it comes from China to your doorstep. But when it's addressed, it's my business name. So you think it came from my warehouse in China or wherever, but it really didn't. So these days that literally I ran that business off of my cell phone. And this is an old iPhone that I keep. So actually, this is the exact iPhone, an iPhone 6. All right, so I know a lot of people feel like you got to have the latest and greatest technology. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you say I can't afford it right now, I'm telling you, off an iPhone 6 for a minute, I was making $1,200 profit per week. That's the difference between what the manufacturer was charging me to make it and ship it, and what I was charging the customer, and just the volume that we was doing. And I promoted it all through Instagram. That's why I leave the Instagram account up.
That was going to be my next question. Before we get to the social media and how you were using it, would you consider your smartphone to be your biggest resource at that time? Or
Absolutely.
What is the main thing that was helping you to do what you were doing?
Yeah, man. This was before there was a JT Hustles brand. So it wasn't like I had a YouTube channel with subscribers. The only Instagram that I had at the time was the Being the Best Instagram. So I didn't have a face to put with the brand, a name of the brand. So yeah, all through Instagram, right? And I tried all kind of marketing, from just let me make posts on my personal Facebook page. Let me try to capture emails and do email marketing. Let me do text message marketing. And what I would encourage you, depending on your business, you should try everything. I did Facebook ads, Google ads, but what worked the best for me is what's called influencer marketing, is the technical term. Basically, word of mouth is the how we say it in layman's terms. And if you think about it, that has always been efficient, and for the foreseeable future will be as well. For those of you that are watching that are old enough to know, there used to be, before Chuck Norris, there was a man called John Wayne, and he was big time in Westerns. John Wayne, they would pay him to be in cigarette commercials. And that's how the cigarette companies would distribute it. And they also would have fake doctors in lab coats as well. I study marketing. I consider myself a professional marketer. So just trust me if you don't know who John Wayne is. He was a cowboy. He was Chuck Norris before Chuck Norris. And they was using him. For those of you that don't remember John Wayne, you might remember Allen Iverson when he was playing. Allen Iverson was in Sprite commercials. LeBron James was in Sprite commercials. If you're a big basketball fan like me, these guys don't drink soda like that, but they'll promote it because, yeah. So it's like influencer marketing is all around you. It's some NFL players that'll promote Subway, and then later you'll find out that they don't even eat Subway. So that's just the name of the game.
No.
But it's various ways to market. But
So outside of having social influencers for the marketing, how important is social media in itself for you to get more clients, get more customers, and promote your brand? How is it a little important, a lot of important, or that's pretty much the game plan?
Man, that's my
Social
game
media.
plan, to be honest, man, because I think that I do a little bit of everything. Don't get me wrong, but I think that getting ahead of the curve with technology, that's the direction that things are going in. So do I still capture people's emails for my businesses and every now and then send out an email? Absolutely. The students in Hustle Academy can expect to see a few emails a month from me. For my private label businesses, for those people that send me their phone number, we do a text message marketing campaign as well. But I think social media is not going anywhere because social media has made life more convenient for people, and it's made a lot of stuff easier. And the hardest thing to do is to make somebody's life easier and then try to take that ease away from them. All right. So most Americans are obese. I'm not saying social media is making it that way. I myself included got a treadmill. I'm gonna jump on it after this. But man, social media, I don't think is going anywhere. And when I think social media, I don't want you to think Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that, right? I want you to think of social media as the internet, all right? Because the platform can change. When I was young, MySpace was a thing. We ain't heard of Facebook.
So, yeah, I had MySpace.
Yeah, so like so I don't want a lot of people right now, and they making money doing it, but I really like to preach multiple streams of income, sustainability, generational wealth. So right now I feel like I pretty much understand the gist of how YouTube works. Over the last couple of years have grown pretty good organically. Never paid anybody to promote my YouTube channel at all. Like a lot of people do. Never paid for followers, subscribers, none of that. Just content after content. Doing over 365 videos a year just to bombard the people with content. But with my other businesses, I use paid advertising. Paid advertising is way faster. But when we talk about social media, I want you guys to start thinking about as just the internet. Of course, I told you guys Hustle Academy is an online school that I'm putting together. I'm personally working on a course right now that's going to be advertising psychology. Advertising psychology is basically, I'm going to teach you the mentality of how people think. Not just me personally. So let me clarify. Consumer psychology. So it's going to be based off of my experiences, but my formal education, I have what they call an MPA, Masters of Public Administration. Underneath all of that, blah, 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 you got to get a concentration. My concentration is organizational management. Basically, that means that my master's degree is how do you work with these sorts of personality types to get them to do what you want them to do. I got that degree because I thought I was going to stay in corporate America. I was going to work my way up the chain. Nobody told me about corporate politics. I thought if you're the most qualified and you're good at your job, you eventually end up at the top. So that's
naturally.
So that's what my formal education is in, is just dealing with different personality types, how you work with them. But I'm also pulling studies from Yale, all of these psychology professors from high level schools, and I'm consolidating it in a course. And that's what I want people to start thinking about, because the way people think is not going to change that much. All right. So there's two trains of thinking, and we're not gonna go super technical in it because I want to keep moving with it. But just for simplicity, let's say everybody thinks about stuff as either A or B. All right. So A is very top level. An example of it, and matter of fact, I don't want to mess up the words, so I got it right here, and I'm doing so much. I write everything down. Let me see where we at with it. Oh yeah, I see you do the same.
Always be ready to take notes, because you never know what golden nuggets you will find.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it central thinking and peripheral thinking. It's a longer professional sounding name than that. But in my notes right now, I don't see the long, pretty name I want to tell you. But central and peripheral thinking. Basically, if you have a product or service and you're trying to sell it to somebody, I don't care if you're trying to sell it to them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or on the street corner. They're either, if it's a high dollar amount item, or if it has high intrinsic value to them, then you have to give that man or woman more facts than if they have a peripheral way of thinking, or let's just call it plan B of thinking. And that's like, compare, how would you think about the situation if I say, hey, I have a house to sell you for $500,000, and versus I have a box of matches and you need some matches for your barbecue. So everybody thinks one or two ways. Now you have to know, what is your product or service? How are people going to perceive it? Now, the easy way is, I'm targeting low income people. My product is $1,000 a pop. So they're going to be thinking like plan A type people. When you're dealing with people that are thinking like that, you got to give them all the facts. For those of you that want to start a business and want to know marketing, it's a lot of rules out there, but quick and dirty. A couple rules are, the name of the game is, you want people to have the minimum amount of questions after they see your advertisement. Studies say the longer people have to think about what you presented to them, or if there's any unanswered questions, like, it drops drastically.
Easier it is for them to say no thanks.
Yeah.
Or I'll try it later. Later never comes.
Yeah, think about if you ever went to the flea market and you saw something that was interesting to you and you said, all right, I'm going to come back. How many times do you actually come back and buy it? All right, so if something has a high dollar value in the eyes of your consumers, right, or if it has high intrinsic value, right, something that, let's say, like, I don't want to get too negative, something like a tombstone or something like a casket or something like that. If you have a funeral home business, right, you need to give the people a lot of information up front, but also understand that people have very short attention spans. So you need to hit the high level, what's in it for them, what you should care about, and that's the big points. Everything else should be minor. Now, when it comes to matches, just for an example, if you doing a cookout and you need some matches for your grill, you don't care if you get the Nike matches, the Gucci matches, or the no-name matches.
I just need to start that fire.
Yeah. But what if you want to start selling matches? And let's use something else. T-shirts. T-shirt business is low-hanging fruit. Teespring, Printful, buy a printer and print it yourself. But not printers, T-shirts, matches, stuff like that maybe not have a high intrinsic value to people, or a high dollar value to people. What makes them pick yours over everything else? You should always be targeting the right person, but then you got to understand that, hey, you got to spruce yours up. What's the difference between your T-shirt and this T-shirt and that T-shirt, especially if your T-shirt costs more than them? So now you got to play on people's emotions. When it comes to a house, you can make me as excited as you want to. You could come, you could bring a band, you could cut backflips, but when you tell me $500,000, I still got questions, right? But if you do a flashy presentation like that and it's some matches, I'm just going to remember when I go to the store, oh, I like the funny commercial about the so-and-so matches. They adopt.
You evoke some type of emotion and then make them feel happy. Got that mental association with it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's what you got to do. And again, don't quote me on the words. I want you to understand the principles. And I take a lot of notes because I'm telling you, I'm pulling studies from Yale. I'm pulling from my own personal experience. I grew my own business. I help other people grow their businesses. I teach people on YouTube, different side hustles, if you will. And I use side hustles only because the word business, believe it or not, it's intimidating to people. A lot of people feel like starting a business is risky, it's expensive, it's hard, and all of that is true. But for some reason, a side hustle has the same risk, same amount of work to be successful. But when you say, hey, I'm gonna give me a little side hustle, I'm gonna start cutting yards on the weekend, somebody like, okay, cool, that's not that bad.
It feels safer.
Yeah, but if you say I'm gonna start a landscaping company, they be like, whoa. Like, man, give or take, you doing the same thing. All right, so that's why
you're just not as committed.
Yeah,
that level of commitment. What makes people commit?
Man, talking about humans, man, success, man. Really, I feel like so. I presented, the independent courier business as a side hustle. I made 6 figures a year since my first year until now. I got people now that's doing it that have made 6 figures their first year, quit their job. It's an IT guy. Traditionally, IT is where the money is in corporate America. He left his IT job as a manager level, and now he's driving around. Where they joked about me about, oh, you got a kidnapping van because they all white vans. But yo, this dude making more money in those vans. And the reason why I share that with you is because if you got people around you that's not on your type of time, they'll pass that negativity. And some people,
but it's all a joke. It's usually just a joke and just playing and just trying to protect you.
Yeah. But some people, like, that could be enough to discourage them. If everybody's clowning them, they wouldn't do it. And even if you explain the science to them. So the science is, there's a psychology associated with the colors you see. White is usually a color that goes unnoticed. All right, not talking about Caucasian people. We talking about actual color white. Right. So a lot of if you notice your mail trucks, other than UPS is brown because at the time it was supposed to reflect leather. Leather was considered to be high end. It was supposed to be a luxury delivery service at the time. But
I can see that.
Yeah, but prior to that, you'll see mail trucks are traditionally white. A lot of delivery vans are white. And psychology says that you usually don't pay a lot of attention to white. And on an average day, I was delivering anywhere from $250,000 to $400,000 worth of pharmaceuticals. I delivered everything from cancer treatment medicine, HIV medicine, to cough drops. All right. So they want you in these white vans because people way smarter than you have studied, okay, if you in a bright red van, they're like, man, hey, look at that bright red van, bright orange van, bright yellow van. A white van, they see you, but do they really pay attention to you? So it's a psychology behind it. So that's why I tell everybody, man, a lot of fear that people have about doing something comes from a lack of education. 9 times out of 10, if you're afraid to do something, it's because you don't fully understand. A lot of people are afraid to start a business because they don't fully understand how they're going to make money, how I'm going to work every day, and XYZ. But if you educate yourself on it and then you say, okay, this is how it works, then that fear is going to be subsided. You might start small and then you say, okay, cool. And then you step out on faith. But yeah, just like how you saying, people could have good intentions and be trying to protect you. But if you stuck in that job mentality, which I was in the beginning, and a lot of other new people, I hope that I can help them see it a different way. But a lot of people, you got a job mentality, and I tell people all the time, be patient with yourself. I became an entrepreneur at 24. I don't care if you become an entrepreneur at 54. The first 23 years of my life, I was raised a certain way. All right. And if you want to get into the history, the psychology of it, the American school system is based off of the Prussian school system. And I mean, people want to argue the narrative, but I go with the train of thought. It all ends in the same place, but I go with the Prussian school system. Basically, Prussia lost the war. They studied why they lost the war. It was too many, it was too many independent thinkers. So as a veteran myself, I know the importance of, if you're trying to fight a war and you tell people we're going to flank them and come around this way, and it's 100 men, and somebody say, no, we should wait here. Somebody say we should take the hill. These people say we're going to flank them. These people say it's too many of them, let's retreat. And everybody's doing their own thing. Like, if they're all unified and they're on the same type of time and y'all spread out, they're going to kill y'all slowly but surely. All right. So Prussia lost that war. And when they did an evaluation, they said, what can we do so that we don't lose future wars? Well, they came to the conclusion, and this was way before I was born, you was born, your grandparents wasn't born. So it was way back, unless you got some real old grandparents. But they decided that let's get them while they're young. Let's put them in a situation. This was where school was like considered almost like a luxury. Like usually you would be raised by your family. They'll instill ethics with you. you're gonna work on the farm. So they was like, let's put them in an environment and teach them structure. Let's have the teacher be the authoritarian, and let's train them while they're young, because young children, you can influence them, you can instill certain things in them that they'll carry with them the rest of their life. So you're in a format where the teacher is the authority. The teacher tells you when to talk, when not to talk, when to eat, when to play, and that's how you raised up.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, you go to college and it's more